What is up, everybody? Just by chance here. Today we're looking at a brand new Dronewolf version 2 6-inch. We're gonna be doing a build video on this from FPV Aces. Go check them out, they have some great stuff. Anyways, we're gonna be putting on a Maytech PDB with OSD, a Motolab Cyclone flight controller, some 20 amp BLHES DYS ESCs. Gonna be running 8K 4K multi-shot, and with some 2206 DYS fire motors. These things are nice. And some custom made motor dampers. We're gonna throw those on there. And we're gonna be using RunCam 2.1 and an X4RB. We're gonna mod that and use telemetry with the taranis. So let's get started. Now, one thing with the motor dampers, you don't want to over tighten your screws, or it's going to render the damper itself useless. You want it to have a little bit of flex. So make sure you use Loctite. Now we'll go ahead and mount the other ones and we'll continue on. let's finish wiring the PDB to the ESCs, and then we will get ready to start wiring the flight controller. Alright, we got the ESCs wired up, signal wires on, motors wired in, capacitor put in, battery leads, got the VTX leads with the OSD camera signal, got the camera wired in, we have the ESC signal wires. Looks like we need to put in a VBAT, so since we're using the Moto Lab, it can take battery voltage right off the LiPo. So let's grab these spare battery pins up here in front and a ground. We'll go ahead and run a lead off for that. PDBs wired in, camera, VBAT, VTX. Ready to start putting on this Moto Lab flight controller. Alright, we got all the ESCs wired up. Let's get the flight controller out. Let's start getting this thing wired together. As you can see, I finished up the last ESC, got them finished up, taped up, ready to go. So tonight we are going to install the VTX. Let's mod the X4RB and get it installed, and we'll also do the LEDs and the buzzer. One thing to remember with the buzzer, with the cyclone, is that we'll have to install this diode. Oh yeah, one more thing. We're gonna install the VBAT. A little bit of extra slack, so if we need to flip the flight controller up, we can. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind that with the cyclone and using taranis, I'm going to also be using telemetry. And so, since S-Bus is on UART2 TX, or on UART2, I can't use that for the smart port. So what I have to do for the taranis is run another cable, and in my case, I'm going to use UART3 TX, and I'm going to tie that in to my smart port on my X4RB. That way I can use smart port on UART3 and serial on UART2. Alright, looks like we got everything wired up. We got the camera, got the flight controller soft mounted on there. If you noticed, I didn't put these nuts on very tight. So then we have our VTX right here. We have our S-bus right here. LEDs addressable. Don't forget to put the diode if you're going to use LEDs with the cyclone. If you don't, you're going to burn them up. And if you have your buzzer and LEDs on one board like I do, just because it's simple, you're going to burn them both up. And then right here we also have just the 5 volts with a switch ground on this board for just the switch ground buzzer. So now let's get to disassembling the X4RB, and we'll depin it, and we'll go ahead and add the smart port wire, and we'll direct solder the S-bus. Alright, we're getting real close. Went outside, heat shrunk up this, keep it a little bit protected. So, we need to put in the UART3 plug for telemetry, so I get that set up. And then we'll be on to hooking in the VTX, hooking in the camera, and wiring up the LED and the buzzer. Everything looks wired up with camera, VTX, LEDs, buzzer, receiver, transmitter, which I'm going to mount underneath the top plate, right in between these skinny standoffs. And then I'm going to use this stubby antenna, so where it lies is about right here. So I'm going to give it a little bit of curve up, and then I'm going to take some zip ties as a strain relief, kind of catty corner. I'm going to zip it nice and tight, and then I'm going to mount this with some 3M double-sided tape, kind of give it some cushion. And then we'll be ready to plug it into Betaflight, get everything programmed up. I will end up throwing a little bit of hot glue on these points just to kind of keep them a little bit more protected. I'll put some on the back of the VTX and maybe a little bit on the back of the camera as well. So we're going to go ahead and start installing the standoffs. We'll put the camera in, we'll button down all this, we'll get the antennas where they wanted to go, and we'll get